Good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Soto, and I am excited to take this course because I never really knew what health communications was until I read a few chapters and did some research and read an article about it online. But one of the current challenges that I read about that I found interesting was about cultural diversity. And the reason why I found it interesting is because it's important to realize as the years pass on and now that we're in 2021, thankfully we see a lot of other cultural differences and just a lot more diversity. We see it in schools, we see it in the ice cream place, the mall, like it's everywhere and it's amazing. But it's also important to be more self-aware of these cultural differences. And that goes for anywhere, not just the healthcare system. But it's important, and the reason why in the book it was stating that it's an issue is because maybe there could be some cultural differences that impact the patient. For example, a child might need some intensive treatment, and the family might say no because it might go against their religion, or they might believe in some type of home remedy, which is absolutely fine, which is where it gets a little gray and tricky because there's no really right or wrong answer. Everyone has different perceptions of things, and it's important to become more aware and realize that there really isn't a right answer just because you think that, oh, well, studies show 20% of the kids that take this shot will get better. This will help your child. Meanwhile, other parents from different places around the world might see that different, and it's important to understand that and at least take into consideration before we talk about, for example, different treatments. And the other one that I felt like coincided with this one perfectly was called Tension Between Transitional and New Approaches to Healthcare. At first, I had difficulty seeing the issue when I read the title because, traditional and alternative approaches, it sounds really good. But then when I read further, I realized that it can be pretty rough. For example, one of them was called Curative Approach, and it just reminded me of a movie. I believe it was My Sister's Keeper, whatnot. And it's tough, right? The word hospital might give someone else chills. Personally, not for me. I haven't really been through tough experiences in losing other people, except my dog recently. But I assume it's pretty rough in general, and it's important that effective communication is really important. It's positive, and because it really can impact the patient's mental health, and it really can impact the progress in either a good way or a bad way, depending on the type of communication they're receiving. But the reason why I thought the alternatives were important was because when you first of all, I thought there was just the traditional, as said in the book, I think it's referred to biomedical model of medicine. This comes to show that everything is not so black and white as we imagine, as we think it is. It's a lot more complicated than that, such as cultural differences. I mean, it's huge. And again, the idea of different perceptions, there's just different opinions. For example, someone may not want to do intensive chemotherapy. Meanwhile, other people would want that person to do that. So it's important to realize that and respect that. And finally, when I was reading the overview, I believe that chapter 3 was really important to me because I pursue to be a speech language pathologist, so communication is my realm. I really enjoy that. And so when we see chapter 3 involving really dark stuff that basically no one wants to talk about, what it's like in hospice, life or death situations, whether or not to pull the plug, communication issues between caregiver and patient, it can be really tough, and it's important. That's where that effective communication I've hopefully really comes into play, and I'm actually really excited to read about that chapter personally. Thank you so much for watching.